So I'm wondering, I've noticed that several of my cards have damage that, and they just so happen to be in semi-rigids waiting for grading for a long time. And I'm wondering if during the shipping or just the waiting period, I had them in there wrong. And it's not really damage, but it's superficial damage that might not even last. But it's, as of right now, it's there. But where is the corner on this? This thing is this one. How can I do this? So I'm finding that my corners are bent up. And obviously they weren't like that when I sent them in. And there it is. You can see the light hitting it different. It's bent up. That corner is bent up. And it's a superficial bend. It's not a crease. You can barely see that, but you see how the light hits it different. That's an example. So they're knocking that a full grade to 2 grades. Now that Griffey is also off center, and it also had another flaw, but it did not have that. Now I'm not blaming SGC. That's something that has to do with the semi-rigid, I believe. So here's another one. So I pulled this, and I was like, 8? That's not even close to the declared value that I picked. I was hoping for 9. I mean, it is OC top to bottom, but it still has the, a good enough eye appeal. I thought they'd give it the benefit of the doubt, but it's bent. That corner is bent up right there. Barely see it, but it was enough to knock it a grade. So it either got shoved down a little bit, and it's in hand. It looks worse. You can see it more pronounced. It's hard to show with all these different light sources here holding or hitting it at once. I'm gonna try to turn off this light real quick. Sorry, this video is going long as it is, but I'm hoping this natural light will help me see it better. But I'm just kind of trying to get down to the nitty gritty of why we're getting these kind of wacky grades. Man, you can't even see it at all now. I'm gonna turn that light back on. There were more than just a few. So these are the ones I could get my hands on. I think this one, what corner was this one again? Oh, see up there? See how it's bent? This is the best example I could find. So it's bent. It's not a real bend though. It is, don't get me wrong, it is a real bend, but what I'm saying is it just was manipulated that way by the holder. So this card couldn't have been better than 8. After I look it over better, there's no way it could have been better than 8 in my opinion. So that was not a good card to send in to begin with. But I'm noticing though, and I'm wondering if you're having the same issue. Let me see if I have another example. There is another example. So the Gallery of Stars, I thought I could eke a 9. However, see how light hits that bottom corner different? I'm pretty sure this one was seated pretty deep in the Card Saver 1. So that bottom corner is just slightly bent up. Man, it's so hard to get it to. There it is. See it? See how the light hits that corner different? So it's pushing outwards. That's from the Card Saver. That's from the semi-rigid. Just sitting in there waiting too long. This is one of the first cards I had in semi-rigids in the Card Saver ones before I put my order out. And same with the Fame game, and same with that Hall of Gold, because I had about 35 Griffies that I was certain I was sending in. So another point I wanted to bring up is that you're doing this with PSA. So I'm thinking over time, that bend, might take 5 to 10 years even, but eventually that bend is going to mellow itself out, I think, and just go back to normal. Or not. It doesn't really necessarily have a great chance on the SGC. I wouldn't, could I take it out and put it back in the top loader for a couple of years, pull it back out, and then have it fine if I didn't screw it up in the Card Saver? Yeah, I probably could get a 9 out of it. Not going to do that. But another point I wanted to bring up, though, is that you're doing this with PSA. So when you put it in the super, super thin PSA holder, you're not going to be able to see that. But they had seen that while they were grading it and had to knock it. But when they stick it in the container, especially if it's in one of the new holders with the inner sleeve, it's going to mellow it out. It's going to manipulate it back to straight. So it's literally fixing the card, at least to the naked eye. So I'm wondering if you could get in there in the nitty gritty under a dedicated light and really see. Maybe you got the same thing going on. That you got some stuff that you've been. Maybe you had it in semi ridges a little longer. I'm making this a private video for only subscribers if I can. By the way, um, so I didn't know how else to reach out to you. I didn't want to leave a novel, and this is a 9-minute video as it is. But I just wanted to throw that out there to anybody who's been grading cards. Be careful, and if you keep your collection in semi rigids, I might want to go through your stuff if I were you and figure out what's what and make sure that that's not screwing your stuff up. And I really hope you don't got to put them in, you know, a really tight top loader just to get your collection back to normal. That would stink. But if you do, you know, a good old team bag on top of a top loader isn't the worst thing in the world for storing your collection. In fact, that's what I did with all my cards that ended up 10s and 9s, or 9.5. So I've been holding these stuff in the same holders. These have been, that's been in a holder since 1995. I mean, in a top loader. That's been in a top loader since 1992, 1997. This one, the Griffey, 2006 ish, 2007. I think actually I bought a box of Crook cards. Anyway, just was wanting to throw that out there, and that's also kind of a public service announcement for anybody that has their stuff in top load or semi-rigids for too long. I think it's causing superficial damage. It might even be damage that can be fixed. So be very wary of that when you're sending in your orders, and maybe that figures out something for you, LV. I don't know. Just wanted to share that with everybody. Thanks. God bless.